Hi everyone, I'm Kristen and this is the Queen City Yarn Dying to Knit podcast. This is episode 6 and this is a podcast about knitting, yarn dyeing, just generally my adventures in making things. And it's been a really long time since I podcasted and I've really missed it. I haven't podcasted since July, I think, and today is September 11th. So yeah, summer's over, and the kids are back in school. So, and I finally have time to podcast. So I'm really looking forward to today. You can find me online and on Ravelry as Kristen, Christen, on Instagram as Kristen C, and I also post under my business, Queen City Yarn. There's also a Ravelry group for the podcast, which is Queen City Yarn, and you can find my yarn at queencityyarn.com. So I think that's what's going on. But anyway, like I said, it's been a long time, and I'm new, so I feel like it might take me an episode or two to get back into the swing of things, as well as I was before July when I was sort of in the swing of things. So anyway, but I'm really excited to be here podcasting with you today. And hopefully you can grab some knitting and something to drink and join me for a bit. Today I'm going to talk about all kinds of finished objects because it's been a while and I've finished quite a few things, so I'm excited to show them off. I've got quite a few works in progress. I think almost everything, maybe everything that I have on the needles is, everything I have on the needles I'm going to show today is brand spanking new. So that's exciting too. Of course, there's languishing whips, but I will get to those when I get to those, and then I'll show them at that time. So anyway, let me see. Is there anything else? I think that's all. So since the last time I podcasted, things have been crazy busy. We had summer. The kids and I took a little trip up to Philadelphia to see our family up there and to attend the baby shower for my brother and sister-in-law who are expecting in October. And so we had a lot of fun there, and then we spent some time at our farm, which was really, really nice. And for the first time in my life, I think that I actually packed knitting appropriately, which is insane. Usually I bring like 3 or 4 pairs of socks, at least 2 pairs of socks, an extra ball of sock yarn and needles. Like I'm gonna finish all these socks. And then also like a sweater and a shawl, because a knitter's gotta have options. But this time, for that trip, I actually took the appropriate amount of knitting. I took the baby blanket because I was not done, was still working on it. And I think that's probably why I took the appropriate number of things, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to work on a lot of my own projects because I was trying to finish that baby blanket. And then I took some socks and my flax sweater, and that's all I took. I really wanted to take the yarn for this, which is an FO. I'm going to show you in just a minute, because I swatched before I left, but I didn't because I knew I wouldn't have time. So yeah, for the first time ever in my life as a knitter, I traveled with appropriate number of projects, finished quite a few things while I was gone, and came home ready to cast on some new stuff, which was really fun. So anyway, that was very exciting about my trip. For me, it was one of the most exciting things. So anyway, like I said, I have a lot of FOs to show today, the first of which I'm wearing, which I didn't even show this on the podcast, as a new cast on, because I cast it on right after we got home from our trip in the beginning of August, and I pretty much knit on it exclusively. I gave myself like permission to not knit on other whips like my flax, because I was like, oh, well, it's still really hot here in South Carolina, just south of Charlotte, and if I finish this one, I'll get to wear it. And I think I'm going to wear it a ton. So this is the Riley, and I'm kind of sitting on the floor today because I thought it would be easier to set up. But anyway, this is my Riley, and I'm so excited about it. It was a really, really fun knit. It's all garter stitch, and it was a construction that I've never knit before. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It's the Riley tee, and it's from Pom Pom Summer 2018. The yarn that I used was Fibra Natura Papyrus, and I don't remember the names of the colors, but it's like Dusty Rose and Vapor or something like that, I think. But it was really a cool construction. It's knit kind of modularly, so you start with this bottom, let's see, sorry, gotta get used to the camera again. You start with this bottom band and you work sideways, and then you pick up and you knit up. You do the same thing in the back, and then on the side, you like pick up all the way around and you knit, out. And then you bind off some stitches and continue to work the sleeve. And I think it's just a really cool construction. I've never knit a sweater with this kind of construction before, and I really enjoyed it. It's always fun to kind of do something new, a little different, and I really love the fit. I love a V-neck. I really love the stripes. I think it's fun. I think I will get quite a bit of wear out of it still this year, because I think it's going to be a great sweater for the fall too, because it is a little bit of a heavier weight yarn, and so it's got really nice drape, but I think it'll be great to wear with like jeans or leggings for running around town, and the boxy style is really something that I wear a lot. So this was my first FO I wanted to show. The next one is also very, very exciting and something that I'm super duper proud of. So, I was working on Colton's baby blanket, and the last time I showed it, there was parts of it that I wasn't really happy with. I knew for sure that it wasn't going to be done by the time the baby shower came, and that was okay. I definitely did not get it done. I was still working on it after we left Philly and went to the farm, and I worked on it pretty much exclusively for a week after the shower, but it's done now, and I couldn't be more happy with it, and Daniel and Megan are really excited about it too. I did show it to them when we were up there, and they pretty much had me show it to everyone after that, which was at the baby shower. They're opening all their gifts and stuff, and then they're like, Kristen, go get the blanket so you can show everyone, which was cool, and I was so happy that they were excited about it, but I was also kind of like, okay, I'm going to stand in front of all these people and be like, this is my not done gift. But everyone was really impressed with it, and it turned out beautiful, so I'll show it. So the raccoons, and there's his name. I also decided to sign the blanket because I had room after the raccoons on this side, so I put a little heart in my initials, CC, Kristen Clement, and it's kind of cool because my other brother-in-law, Kevin, is also married to a Kristen. She's K, Kristen with the K. I'm the OG though. I've been here longest. My husband and I will be married for 9 years as of tomorrow, which is awesome. 9 happy years. I can't believe it's been so long. It just flies. But yeah, so I was wondering, like, what will he call me? Aunt Kristen or whatever. But there's 2 of us, and I know he's going to see Kevin's Kristen, more often because they live there. And then I was like, well, maybe he'll call me Cece. After I put my initials on there, I was like, well, maybe they'll call me Aunt Cece, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of funny. But anyway, I was really excited with how it turned out, and I'm excited that I did sign it. I hadn't signed my kids' blankets, and I also didn't put their names on them, but I really like those personal touches that I added to this one. I think, with anything that you make, it continue to improve and change the design and stuff like that as you go. So anyway, I'm really thrilled with it. I'm going to hold it up and show it in all its glory. I did put raccoons at the top, like my friends Janice and Alexis suggested, and I think that they were absolutely right. I think my hesitation was in that I didn't really enjoy knitting the raccoons because of the way I designed the chart. There were quite a few rows where I had to hold 3 yarns as I was working, and this is the first project that I've had to do that with. it was manageable, but it just wasn't fluid and it wasn't that much fun. I really enjoy color work, and in fact, the arrows that I did, I like really enjoyed, and I found that I could knit on these, knit this section of the blanket while still hanging out and conversating, you know, chit-chatting with family, and I think 2 balls of yarn is pretty manageable, just when you're just sitting around chilling, having a drink, and enjoying friends and family. But the raccoons were definitely something that, you know, I could only work on after the kids went to bed, and I had to be sitting like on the couch with, you know, a yarn ball here and 2 over here, and like making sure they didn't tangle. So like I said, it wasn't as fluid, but I love how it looks. The blanket is not exactly square, because I did cut out the blue stripes. I talked about that last time. I just wasn't happy with it. I had added them in because I needed to keep knitting. I needed to keep myself going on the project. I thought that I could add some length to the blanket by doing the stripes, but it didn't look right. I didn't want to add more, so I cut them out. And unfortunately, you know, I just cut it, pulled it out, just like you would like for an afterthought heel. It's just a really long time around, right? And then Kitchenering it back together, which I'm very proficient at Kitchener stitch. I've used it, you know, on socks forever, and it's something that I really know how to do easily. You know, I can do while watching TV and all that stuff, and like be able to set it down and pick it back up, which is great. But it literally took me a whole evening. So it took away a whole evening of knitting because I was Kitchenering. And that means like I put my kids to bed and sat down on the couch and was like, I'm going to Kitcher this thing together. And they go to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And it was like 10:30, 11 by the time I was done. So it took me 3 hours to Kitchener it. And I just couldn't believe that it took so long. I understand because it does take a while. You know, you're threading in and out, and each stitch you're touching twice and everything. But I had assumed that I would sit down and Kitchener it back together, take me, you know, maybe an hour. And then I'd get some knitting done and do, you know, at least 2 rows of the arrows. That was my plan, and it didn't work out that way. But that's okay. But I'm just so thrilled with how it turned out. You know, his name and the initials and the raccoons just turned out so cool. And then when we were in Ohio at the farm, there's like a beautiful quilt store there. And so my mom and I went and found this quilt, this fabric that, you know, it looks perfect. Daniel and Megan both love the color orange. And I thought that it was a great accent, you know, with the grays and the black and the neutral color, obviously, because I used it for the whole body of the blanket. But I had actually intended on finding a gray fabric because the Colton's room and his bedding and everything is kind of like a gray and natural kind of color scheme. And so I was really thinking I was going to put a gray on the back. But then we walked in and I saw this. And this is a lightweight flannel fabric. And, you know, the way the coloring is, it looks, you know, like hand-dyed almost. Kind of like the speckly, like, hand-painted skeins that I dye for Queen City. Like, this actually reminds me of our Hakuna Matata colorway. But it just matched perfectly with the orange, and I just couldn't be happier. And my mom, who is amazing, sewed the backing on for me, hand-stitched it on, and she did a beautiful job. So I finished the blanket in Ohio, and did this, secured the steek, and I actually did a rolled ribbed edge. I had intended on doing a sandwich steek, which this is a sandwich steek because the steek is inside. But I had intended on doing it similar to Ryan's blanket where, you know, once I sandwiched it, then I knit I knit on each side up and then knit the front and back together to kind of like join it. And then I continued in the rib to match the top. But because I only did 1 inch of rib, it wasn't going to be very much, and I thought it would look funny and flimsy. So I did this, and I'm glad I did because the blanket, like I said, is wider than it is tall. But I think it's going to be a perfect blanket for a crib blanket, also in the car. And yeah, so I'm very, very proud of this finished object. And now that I've shown it, I can finally send it off to them. I did send them pictures of it. I posted some pictures on Instagram when I finished it and in my Ravelry project page. And so I sent them pictures and I was like, it's done. I hope you like it. I'm not sending it to you until I podcast, but it'll be before he comes. So they're really excited about it. So that was the blanket. And I did that out of Woolmize Pure, and I did it on 2.75 millimeter ChiaoGoo needles. And that's all about that. So my next FO, I'm sitting on my feet and they're kind of going to sleep. My next FO, I showed this project. Maybe I had just started it. Maybe I hadn't even started it last time. I really don't remember. I think maybe I did start it. But I finished Michael's sneak socks. So let's see, I have a sock locker, which these sock lockers are like my size, and he's got bigger feet than me, but I'm going to put it on here just to show. The one, big toe hanging off of it. So they're done, and he loves them, and they look really cool with his shoes. Shoot, I meant to grab one of his shoes. He was like, you should show it with one of my sneakers. And I should, but I totally forgot. But I did take a picture of them on his feet, I think, and with his sneakers in the background. So this colorway is called Sneak, and that's pretty true. The yellow is super bright. Here's the ball. But it's grays and like really light silvery gray, and then like a darker gray with neon yellow pops. And his sneakers are those colors. It has more neon yellow in it. But yeah, I really love how these turned out. He loves them. I used his favorite sock recipe, which like I have been talking about. I finally figured out. It's a top down right now shorty sock, which I think will change. I think that this will be the same recipe that I use, but sometimes he'll ask for a taller sock, which is fine. He's got quite a few pairs of taller socks from me and from my mom. But right now he's wearing the shorty socks more. So it's a real short little ribbed cuff, 1x1 rib. And then I did a drop heel flap, and with the 2 garter stitches going down each side of the heel flap. Oh my gosh, it makes it so much easier for picking up stitches. Pretty sure I said that before, but if you like a drop heel, you should totally do 2 stitches in the beginning of end of your heel flap in garter stitch so that it makes it so easy. I mean, you literally just slide the needle through the bumps and there's your stitches that are picked up. It's so easy. It's amazing. It's life-changing for sock knitting. But anyway, so yep, picked it up, and then I did the double gusset heel. That was designed by my friend Christy, and he couldn't be happier with the fit of this heel. It really does cup up underneath his foot, and these socks have been worn quite a few times already, but they still look really good. They're not pilly or anything. And then I did the round toe, which I found out is his favorite toe. It's I've done it, you know, this is another pair that I've done it on now. I feel like I can put it down and pick it up now. I just have to count the rows, which, you know, you have to count the rows even as you're knitting it to make sure you knit enough rows in between the decrease rounds, because there's more decreases per round than there is in like the wedge toe where you're just decreasing like four stitches every other row. This is more frequently decreased stitches, like eight decreases per decrease round, so you have to knit more length in between. But yeah, he loves them. He's worn them a ton. He is so excited about them, which is so cool. I'm so happy that I was able to design this yarn colorway for his shoes. His brother came to visit us and spent Labor Day weekend with us, and he picked out some Queen City yarn for me to knit him Christmas socks with. So I'll show those when I get those on the needles. But Mike was like, oh, you got to see these socks Kristen made me. And he went and got his sneakers, and he went and got the socks and showed them off. And he was just so proud of them. And that's just really satisfying, first of all, as a wife, to give your husband a gift that he wants to show off to everyone that you've made. It makes you feel really good about the time that you spent. And he's just really enjoying them and wearing them a lot. And it makes me feel good because, I mean, when you're knitting for someone, you know, you're thinking about them and putting a lot of love and care and concern into the project. And I just feel like it's just good karma, kind of. I don't know. It's good. Makes me feel really good to give that kind of gift, and to have it received so well is exciting. So those are finished. And I finished another pair of socks. These are in my Christmas bag. And I know I said like Christmas in July was a thing and it was going to happen, and it totally did for me. So I'm so excited about the fact that I finished these. These are Afterthought Everything socks. So I cast on with a rib, and I knit like a super long tube, and then I cut it in half, and I added a toe, which these I added the round toe for me, which I like. I don't love. I think I prefer wedge toe. I just think like I kind of have short, stumpy toes, so I think a wedge toe fits me better. My toes are like wider. I don't know. Definitely wider than my husband's. He's got really narrow toes, long toes. So anyway, but I did do a round toe, and I finished these socks, and I couldn't love them more. I'm so excited to have a Christmas pair of socks that are done for me. I'm also like super impressed with myself that I said, Christmas in July is a thing, and I'm probably going to finish these socks in July, and I totally did. As soon as I finished the blanket, I started working on these socks, and they're both done. They don't match perfectly because they were one long tube, so they are backwards from each other, but I really, really like how they turned out. Round toe, Afterthought heel, and now I have some Christmas socks. And I like this yarn. This was an 80-20, like the 2-ply, which I've used some for socks. I haven't used a ton. I usually use the 75-25 blend because I find that it holds up really well. But Janice gave me these for Christmas, and the yarn was really nice to work with because the 80-20 blends are more plump, and they just make such pretty stitches. I mean, and like a nice firm fabric on the 2.25 needles that I've used. So these are done, and now I have Christmas socks that are done for me. And Christmas in July totally happened. So yay that. I have 2 more finished projects. I told you there was a ton this time. So another pair of socks that I took with me. Now these are not completely done, but they're like done for now. So I'm working on Christmas gifts. Christmas in July, it happened. I finished the tubes on my Thanks Mom socks. These were my lollipop yarn socks, and this is the tag, and it's What's New Pussycat, and on the Beefcake base, which is a really nice sport weight sock. I did these on 2.5 needles, I think. Yeah. 2.5. I did these on Addy Sock Rockets, which aren't my favorite needles because, I guess because of the way I knit, I rub the finish off the tips. I've had to I've sent them in to be replaced quite a few times over the years, and I've kind of stopped sending them to be fixed because they replace them. They have a lifetime warranty, so I mean, they're expensive needles, but they will replace them. But I just continuously rub the finish off the ends because of the way I knit. But I finished the tubes of these. I just have to cut in the heels. And the only reason I haven't cut in the heels yet is because these are going to be a Christmas gift, but I haven't decided for who yet. I'm kind of trying to stock up on sock tubes because everyone in my family really likes knit socks. But I don't know exactly who this colorway of socks will be for. I have an idea. I'm not going to say it because I know some of my family members randomly watch the podcast, and I don't want anyone to spoil anything. But they're done for now. They just need heels, which will probably happen in November, I'm thinking, is when I'll put heels in all the socks. I'll decide, okay, this is for this person, this is for that person, and add in the heels. One more finished object, and this one's a biggie. It's been on the needles for a long time, and it's just, like, literally just finished. This is my Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. I just finished. I haven't even taken out the waste yarn from where I held the stitches, which I always leave in because then it's easy to measure how far you've gone since you've picked the sleeves up. But I absolutely love it. This is in Queen City Yarn, our merino cashmere nylon base, and it is just like so soft. I'm gonna wear the heck out of this sweater. I love the fit. The neck looks a little tight here, but when I put it on, it's just right here, and it just hugs so nicely. It's got a little bit of positive ease, so it's going to be kind of like a comfortable kind of sweatshirt kind of shirt. It's not a boxy style. It's a little bit fitted, and it's about mid hip. And yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think one of my sleeves is about 3 or 4 rows longer. But that's okay. I'm sure one of my arms is just a smidge longer. But now that I'm holding them up together, yeah, this one's just a smidge longer. But it'll be fine. Nobody will know when I'm wearing it. And I'm sure everybody has one longer arm, right? Because you have like one bigger foot and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but it's done. I still have to weave the ends in, take out all of my markers that I was keeping track of my sleeve decreases, and take out that waste yarn for where I picked up the sleeves. But yeah, it's done. I'm really looking forward to wearing that this fall. And that was Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. Oh, I use needles US 3 for the rib and US 5 for the body of the sweater. So that's the faux show. Oh my gosh, it's been like 25 minutes, almost a half hour. It's a lot of talking and a lot of finished objects. So yeah, I've cleared off some needles and I've started a whole bunch of new things. So the first thing I started was some Christmas socks for my brother-in-law, Kevin. He is the one who told me last Christmas that he was really disappointed that he didn't get a Christmas gift, that was one of the gifts that he looks the most forward to each year. And had I knit him a Christmas gift last year, it would have made a whole decade of hand knit gifts for him. So it was a big fail. But so I started early on his. And I cast these socks on because of the Grocery Girls, actually. I love their podcast. And they do a monthly sock knit along, which I don't participate in, like on the Ravelry boards, or really other than just be like, ooh, maybe I should knit socks with that kind of yarn. I haven't entered anything. But I cast these on because of them. Because their August like prompt for sock knitting was to use some what you call it, like machine dyed yarn. I don't know, not indie dyed yarn. I'm trying to blank. Anyways, I used Regia, and this is Design Line Jazz Color by Erica Knight, and it's blue and gray stripes. So my brother-in-law Kevin, he has to dress up sort of for work. He gets to wear jeans and stuff like that, I think. But I just thought this would be really nice. He looks really good in blue, and I think he wears blue a lot. And I think guys always like gray. These are kind of neutral, fun stripy blue socks. I really enjoy knitting with Regia and this type of yarn because it's more toothy, which I love soft yarn. I mean, obviously, the cashmere base, yeah, it feels like butter going through your fingers, and it's amazing. But it is nice to knit with some woolly wool every once in a while. So that's what I did here. So I just cast on a cuff. I only did about maybe a little more than an inch cuff. And then I knit a tube. So these are 50-gram skeins. And so I literally knit until I ran out of yarn, just the tube. And then I used some Knit Picks black solid, which Y'all, I said my anniversary is tomorrow with my husband. We'll be together 9 years. When I first started knitting socks, he wanted me to knit him socks, which I love to knit things for him. He wanted black socks. So I did. I knit him black socks one year for our anniversary, or maybe it was for his birthday. His birthday's just a week and a half after our anniversary. But anyway, I knit him black socks, and I was like, I'm never going to do that again. But I had bought yarn enough to make another pair. So anyway, I decided to use it for a toe because I'm like, not going to knit black socks again. So I used it for the toe. I did a wedge toe because I just felt like it. I didn't feel like doing the round toe. And I'm going to cut in the heel. And these markers are not where the heel is going to be cut in. Kevin's got super, super big feet. I feel like it's like a size 13 or 14 or something ridiculous like that. But these are marking this, halfway. So if I cut all the way across between the markers, that'll be half the stitches of the sock. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it and add in 2 stitches on the top and 2 stitches on the bottom, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I was thinking about that to give a little more ease in the heel. So it's a possibility. But so the first tube is done, and the second tube is started. Of course, I'm mid-row. I was knitting on I had a dentist appointment yesterday just for cleaning, and I was knitting on these as she was cleaning my teeth, and when the dentist came in to check, check everything out, I was still knitting on them, and they're like, how are you doing that without looking? Like, well, I probably wouldn't be sitting very still. If I wasn't knitting, I'd be like fidgeting around or like looking at my phone or trying to. Like, I guess you'd have to like hold it up over your head to look at it because you're like all laid back, mouth all open, getting your teeth cleaned. But anyway, so I've got the second one started, and these are the socks that are living in my purse right now. And I'm knitting on them. I've taken them outside with the kids a couple times just because I had finished the sweater that I was working on. Didn't really have anything. I don't know. I just wanted something easy to knit on. Took it outside, walked around with the kids while they played. And I've been knitting on it while in the pickup line for preschool. My kid pickup knitting has significantly decreased this year. That was something that I probably had like at least a half an hour, 45 minutes of knitting, 5 days a week with kid pickup last year. But this year, no, my daughter, Caitlin, has taken the bus home from school, which she's so excited about. She's in first grade. And we've got some neighbors on the street. There's a couple girls on the street and a boy that on the street that are riding the bus home. And, they're all old enough to ride the bus home. She really wanted to ride the bus home. So I'm like, yeah, totally. It saves me like 2.5 hours of pickup line waiting, which is awesome because that's 2.5 hours a week that I could be doing other things. Like Ryan and I have been playing, blocks and cars and all kinds of stuff, or getting a snack ready for when Caitlin gets home, and just doing more fun stuff like that rather than just sitting in the car talking, which is fine. But, a 4-year-old really doesn't want to sit for a half an hour and wait for pickup. And that's kind of what it was at Caitlin's school. So anyway, that's these, and I'm steadily working on these. These are going to be, I'm knitting these on ChiaoGoo 2.25 millimeter needles. They're going to be like mid-calf socks. I'm going to cut in the afterthought heel, like I said. And these are living in my purse. The next pair of socks, I alluded to that I was going to cast these on last time. And these are in my Java Jenny, mermaid bag that went with our Mondays are for Mermaids and Margaritas colorway that we released at Virginia Beach. I just love this bag. I think it's so cute. Like that cat's drinking a martini or a margarita or something with a little fish in it. And the pinup mermaid. Caitlin wants this bag really bad. I told her, I was like, well, when you finish your hat, maybe I'll let you use this bag for the next one. But I cast on the yarn that my friend Lori gave me for my birthday. And this is the yarn jar. And the colorway is Kinetic. And it is crazy bright and beautiful. So this is it. Isn't it gorgeous? It's got this neon yellow and super hot pink, neon pink with speckledy stripes. So I've started the sock. And I mentioned the last time that, sorry, I'm like shaking things, that I was going to knit the what's it called? The Best Self-Striping Rib Socks in the World pattern by Sockmatician. So I am doing that. I did a tubular cast on, knit the cuff. So I'm kind of doing it. I'm taking some of the tips out of there. And I'm doing a 3x1 ribbed sock, which I know they're going to fit really good, but to be honest, like I've neglected these socks because I kind of want to rip back to the rib and just do stockinette, because that's just how I just like to knit socks right now. There's so many pretty pattern socks, but this rib is boring. Let me complain a minute. This rib is boring, but it's like boring where I have to pay attention that, oh, this is a purl stitch. Where stockinette is like boring, but it's easy and you don't have to look. You're like, no, I don't really have to look. I can still feel the purl stitches, but it's just, I don't know. I just like, I've been taking the one out of my purse to take outside with the kids because it's just stockinette. It's just knit around and I can talk and not even think about it and just be knitting, and voila, I've got like a ½ inch or an inch done. And these, usually stripes are super potato chippy for me, but I'm just not enjoying it. I've considered so many times taking out back to the rib. But part of, I think the concept is cool of this pattern. Like the tip that I took was to make your sock, make your stripes like completely look jogless. Because, you know, sometimes you have the, well, where, you know, it changes from one color to the next. Let's see. You know, a couple, like you can see it, right? I mean, it's not a big deal. I will never do this again. I just don't think it's worth it. I get it, and I know some people probably like absolutely love it, but I just, for me, don't think it's worth it. But so, like, when you're changing to the next color, you just knit the purl stitches and stockinette, and it kind of eats it into the rib, and it makes it look like your stripes are just completely perfect, which is cool. They look awesome. I'm not loving it. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to rip it out or if I'm going to work it down to the heel, and I think I might do like a fish lips kiss heel or something, and then just knit the foot and stockinette. And then I'm like, is this as high of a cuff I want? But then I have to knit another one, which is only like, that's only like 2.5, 3 inches maybe from here to here. But anyway, that's those socks, which I just love the yarn, but I'm just, the pattern is just as nice as it is and as good as it looks, and I know they'll fit great because of the rib. I'm just not enjoying it. So I'm neglecting it purposefully. I seriously thought about just putting it in the car and having that be like just car knitting. But even then, it's like, I don't know. I just don't love it. So I've got 2 more new cast-ons to show. So the next one is socks for my husband, and these are in my Equals bag. Java Jenny all the way. I love her bags. Well, this bag that Kevin socks in is a Fat Squirrel, which I just absolutely, first of all, this fabric is crazy adorable. And second of all, I really love her bags. I have quite a few of Fat Squirrel bags. I like the size of her sock bags. And I like the fabrics that she chooses are just crazy gorgeous. This bag, Java Jenny made for me as a custom order years ago. Let's see, my Eagles bag. Usually my husband's socks are in this bag. And the socks that are in it this time, I cast on Thursday when the Eagles had their first regular season game. And this is the colorway. It's called Fly Eagles Fly. And it's my very first yarn from Lolo Did It. I bought this yarn specifically to knit socks while watching football for my husband right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like literally went online and ordered it, I think the next day when I saw that she had it. And I think her yarns are gorgeous. And like I said, this is the first Lolo Did It yarn that I've bought. But I cast these on. I just cast on before the game started. Well, there was a rain delay, so I had plenty of time to cast them on before it started and worked the rib. And then, and these are going to be his favorite recipe, just like those sneak socks were. Little short 1-inch cuff. I started doing the heel flap. I don't have too much more heel flap to knit, but that's how far I got during the first Eagles game. And yeah, these are just going to be my football knitting. We watch a lot of football in our house. We always watch the Eagles because that's our team. So we always watch them play, but my husband does fantasy football, which when he first started doing it, I was like, oh, more football, you know, just because like I love watching the Eagles, but if I'm not invested in the game, I don't feel like it's that much fun to watch. But, you know, with him playing the fantasy football, and I'll just be like, okay, who are we pulling for? You know, what players are we pulling for? And so it makes it more fun to watch the games. And so I can enjoy it, watching football. And the kids really do too. My son, he wants to be a football player, play for the Eagles, and a rock star. Because my brother, he's a rock star. He's in a band and plays guitar. And Ryan is currently obsessed. You know, I have his music on my phone, and we listen to it a lot. And now Ryan, he's trying to learn the words to the songs and sing along. He wants to go and sing with Kyle, who's the lead singer. And yeah, actually, so hopefully this time, I tried to make like a little intro thing. I think a lot of podcasts are fancier. Like maybe the people who are doing them are more savvy with technology than I am. I'm kind of like easing into it and trying to up my game a little bit. So hopefully I put it together. Hopefully it works. But I did like a thing with a picture and some kind of intro music before the podcast starts. And the song that I chose to use, sorry, but fiber stuck to my lips. The song I chose to use was one of my brother's songs, one of the instrumental songs that they did. And his band's called Pianos Become the Teeth. And yeah, they just got back from a European tour. Planned on going to Australia in, I think, February. So yeah, he's an amazing guitarist. The band, I know all the guys in the band, and they're just all really good at what they do and are having a lot of fun with it. So anyway, a little side note, my son wants to be a rock star now because his uncle is a rock star, and he thinks it's cool. So all these little asides, but whatever. It is what it is, you know? Okay, so those are my Fly Eagles Fly socks. I got notes down here so I don't forget stuff. Oh, and with those, so since Mike wants shorty socks, there should be plenty of yarn left over to do socks for me too, which is what I did last year. I made us both lollipop socks. She has a colorway called Get Lucky, and I bought it specifically for Eagle socks. It's like a St. Patrick's Day colorway. But my husband is Irish and like loves St. Patty's Day too. But they really are really cool, like Eagle socks too. So I made shorties for him and then had enough yarn left over to make shorties for me. I'm thinking I'll do the same thing with these. So I'll knit his pair first, and then after I get his done, I'll cast on some for me. So I'm still working on Eagle socks during the Eagles game. But so I have one more cast on. This yarn was also purchased right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And it's Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is a woolen spun Targhee Columbia wool blend. I love this yarn. I really, you know, this is a very woolly wool. It's a woolly woolen spun. It's so crazy light. I made the Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry with Shelter, which is the worsted weight version of this yarn. And it's like, I mean, you're warm, but it's like wearing nothing. It's so light and comfortable. I just absolutely love it. So I bought a sweater's quantity of this in Loft, and the colorway is Button Jar. So I bought 6 skeins of it, and I think it was either right before or right after. I think it was right after Joji had released her pattern for, I printed it out. I printed the picture and everything this time. The easy one. And so I bought enough for this sweater, knowing that I would make this sweater. And when I was in Savannah this spring, I actually got to try hers on, and I just loved it. The fit was great. You know, it's that boxy style that I'm so drawn to and enjoy wearing so much with jeans and leggings and stuff like that. So I've cast on. Well, first I did 2 swatches. So the pattern calls for a size 4 needle, and I usually have to go up a needle size. So, because I'm a pretty tight knitter. So I first swatched on 5s, and I really like this fabric. When I measured the unblocked swatch, I had 23 stitches in it for 4 inches, and the pattern calls for 21. So I cast on, I thought, well, I need to go up another needle size. So I cast on a 6, and when I measured the unblocked gauge, it was 21 stitches an inch. So I was like, oh, great. And then I blocked them. And I cannot believe how much this yarn changed when I blocked it. I lost an inch or a stitch and a quarter per inch, which is a lot. You know, the magic of blocking. Thank goodness I decided to wash and block my swatches. I'm very guilty of swatching and being like, take a little measurement on like a teeny tiny swatch and be like, oh yeah, gauge, and just cast on. And then I wonder why some of my sweaters don't fit, right? But anyway, I did wash and block these. And the gauge changed so much. So on my swatch that I knit on 5s, I ended up with 17 stitches over 4 inches from 23. And on my size 6 swatch, I ended up with 15 and a half stitches from 21. Isn't that crazy? It's so much. And I was like, gosh, did I block these right? I mean, all I did was wash them and lay them out. So yes, that's how you do it. I didn't pin them, but I'm not intending to pin the sweater. I'm just going to, you know, wash it and get the water out and lay it out flat, which is what I did with these. So I was like, well, I guess I could go down to a 3, which is crazy because I never have to go down usually. Never have to usually. Well, it's not often that I need to actually go down needle size for a pattern because I knit pretty tight and I usually have to go up a needle size to get proper gauge. And I just didn't want to knit it on 3s. I didn't think I would enjoy knitting it on 3s. This yarn is so light and you just want to let it flow. You don't want to have to tension it too much, or at least I don't, because it's very stretchy, but if you tension it too much, it's not going to be, I don't know. I feel like I might pull it apart, to be honest, because it's like super easy to just pull right apart. So I decided to go with the swatch on size 5s. I really like this fabric. I think it's nice and drapey. I think the sweater is going to be very comfortable for the climate that I live in, which it'll get cold, but it's not going to be freezing, at least not very long down here. And I want to wear the heck out of this sweater. I think I will wear it so much this winter. Green is my favorite color. I'm going to wear it on game day because the Eagles, what? So yeah, so I cast it on. And I'm doing this as part of the Joji Fall Knit Along. She's doing a knit along for her patterns. It started, I think, September 1st. I just cast on last night. In fact, I had this, I take notes so I don't forget stuff, right? I had this down in my, like, up on the needles next section, and I cast it on last night. I couldn't wait. So I knit just a couple, like 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches last night. But I'm actually, because of the difference in my gauge, I'm knitting the size extra small. I really hope that it ends up fitting me the same way that the sample did. And the sample was a size medium. And I think Joji and I have about the same bust measurement. I generally wear the same size that she's, she models her own patterns generally. I think always, actually, that she doesn't like publish with companies like Malbrigo or something. But, usually the size that she's modeling is the size that I make, and it fits me the way that I want it to, which is the way that it's fitting her. And I tried on her sample in Savannah at the Knit for Fun retreat, and I just loved it. And so I'm really hoping that this ends up fitting me the same way, even though I'm knitting the size extra small, which kind of like, extra small, like I'm definitely not an extra small. Generally, I'm a medium. But I think that even if it's a little different, because this sweater is very oversized, it has a lot of positive ease, I think it says to, choose a size that's approximately 16 inches bigger than your full bust measurement. So it has a lot of positive ease. So it's going to be fine, even if I tighten up some, which I know that my gauge will tighten up some when I get in the round. I have a looser gauge knitting flat because of my purling than I do in the round. But that's my new sweater, and it's in my fringe bag right now. It's kind of squished in there, but it's so light. And there's my little G-pin. We still have some of those left. I love him. I really want to make more, but we're so busy. We have so much stuff coming up for this fall. I had intended to record a podcast last week, because last week was the first week of Ryan being in school, so I was like, I'm going to have time. But I ended up spending all week working on this big order for Do You Knit, which is crazy awesome, for Queen City Yarn. And yeah, we sent her some of our new Biddleville DK. And I've never met Karen, is the owner. I've never met her in person. But she does a ton on Instagram, and she also they do a podcast, and she just seems like such fun. Like, I really just want to go to that yarn shop and just like hang out and knit with her and just talk about yarn and pick colors and stuff with her, because she just seems like so much fun, and she's very passionate about knitting and yarn and colors and indie dyed yarn. I kind of think that I have the idea in my head that her shop is like almost exclusively indie dyed yarn. Anyway, it's a shop that I have wanted to have Queen City in for a long time. And we were able to work our butts off and send her this gorgeous order of our new Biddleville DK in sweater quantities for the new Caitlin Hunter Ingalls sweater. And she got it on Saturday, and she like showed it on Instagram and everything, like the open unboxing and everything like that. So it's really exciting. So that's why I didn't podcast last week, because I was busy dyeing a ton of yarn, and so dying for that. And we've got a ton of stuff coming up. I'll talk about the stuff that's coming up in just a minute, but I do want to kind of talk about, like I said, it's been a long time since I podcasted, but I want to talk about what Queen City has been up to since then, because it's been insane. The Tits Out Collective we participated in has ended. That ended on August 1st. I can't believe 286 dyers and makers participated in this collective. And it was such a quick thing, a quick turnaround. But it was very exciting, and it was for such a good cause. I mean, for so many amazing causes. It was headed up by the Countess of Blaze, and she invited people to become inspired to make something from a colorway that she had originally dyed. And we did. And ours was Crown Town. And thank you to everyone who purchased a skein of Crown Town, either off of our Etsy shop or in person at SSK. On August 1st, we were able to donate $125 to the Dove's Nest, which is a local women's recovery center in Charlotte. And it just feels really good to give back. And it was really fun to participate in. And knitters and makers, members of this community are so generous and caring and compassionate, and that so many people participated, I think is just heartwarming and says so much about our community. And it made Janice and I feel really, really good to be able to develop such a beautiful colorway, to have so many people purchase that colorway. We donated $5 of each skein. And like I said, we donated $125, which, you know, it's gonna help. And I really look forward to doing it again next year. I know the Countess has talked about doing it again next year. I think she will. And we absolutely will participate, given the opportunity to do so again. So thank you to everyone for that. So that has, you know, finished up. Another thing that finished up that we were participating in was the Pal Cow, which is a knit along hosted by Michelle of the Actually Knitting podcast. And so it's a podcaster along, knit along. That ended August 15th. Janice and I both participated with our designs, and with Queen City Yarn also participated, and we donated a prize. So we're looking, the person who won the prize, I guess, has not contacted us, or I'm not quite sure if the prizes have been drawn for that knit along yet. We haven't heard from Michelle, but when we do, one lucky person will be getting a $35 gift certificate to our online shop, and they can pick out some really pretty yarn with that. So that has ended. I mentioned briefly SSK. Janice went and vended at SSK in July, and she had a great time. This was her first time attending the retreat, and she had lots of good things to say about that. She was there with one of our very good friends, Tracy, who also acted as the booth babe and helped out Janice with vending because I was not there. And the market was great. Thanks to everybody who came and shopped Queen City Yarn. And yeah, so that happened too, which was amazing. And then another thing that happened with Queen City was that we did a trunk show at the Flying Needles in Williamsburg, Virginia. Williamsburg, Virginia. That's another one that Janice went and headed up and did. And it sounded really, really cool. I wish that I had been there. Just the way that they ran it seemed really neat. There was meet and greets, and we did put together a bunch of little samples of our bases, and gave patrons of the shop an opportunity to come in and chat about how we dye and how our different techniques will look knitted up, how the different bases act and what they're good for, like what kind of projects they're well suited for. So Janice did all of that and had a great time and sold a bunch of yarn. And we released our newest base, which I do have a, hold on, just a second. We released our newest base, which is our Biddleville DK, which is a gorgeous 4-ply DK weight yarn. This is it on our Hakuna Matata colorway, which is a beautiful orange hand-painted colorway that has made its way into our rainbow. Orange is Janice's favorite color, and it's also our friend Christy's favorite color. And we gave her a skein of this for her birthday last year. But anyway, this is our new base. It's this colorway is so bright. It's a 4-ply DK weight. The skeins are 115 grams, and they're 250 yards each. This is actually the base that we sent sweater quantities to Do You Knit in, and we released it at the Flying Needles, and they also released a new shawl pattern, which was designed for the yarn into contrasting colors, and it turned out beautiful. It's called the River Dance Shawl, and they're having like a competition with another shop, and with how fast people can knit it. So anyway, that happened. But let me tell you a little bit about the Biddleville. So the reason we name all of our bases after areas in Charlotte, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Biddleville. I'm going to look because I had to read. But it's the Queen Cities, Charlotte's oldest surviving African-American neighborhood. It was the epicenter for the civil rights battle in Charlotte. It's home to Johnson C. Smith University, which was originally the Biddle Institute. And that university was founded with the intention of teaching newly freed African Americans to become teachers, preachers, and leaders within their community. So that's our Biddleville. That's where we got the name from. And so, okay, I think that's all I needed to say or planned on saying about Biddleville. So now I'm going to tell you about all the things that are coming up for Queen City. And wow, we just hit an hour. Hope you used to have coffee or tea or whatever, wine or another glass of wine or something. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We are dyeing so much yarn right now across many bases. Our fingering weight base, our Noda, which is the 75-25, which is always a good seller. It's a yarn that I use 75-25 all the time for socks and sweaters. It just holds up really well. And then we have our new DK base, worsted and bulky. We're going to have all kinds of things dyed, and we're just working on this huge dye list. But it's so much fun to like see it all stocked up and be like, oh, my pretties. You're not going. I'm going to take these. That's kind of how I do. The yarn generally lives at my house, and I'm the one who will ship it out if you place an order. But so there's a big walk-in closet in the guest room, and I'll go in there and be like, I want you, and I want you, and I want you. It's really fun to have it here because I can go play with it all the time, put together color combos. But anyway, so we're dyeing a bunch of yarn. We gotta have a bunch in stock. Right now, there's not a ton on Etsy, but we are working on it. So there should be more. There's not a ton of Biddleville in there now, which is the new DK, but we'll be having some in there before too long. But we got trunk shows and all kinds of stuff coming up. So the next thing up is September 27th through 29th. We're going to have a trunk show at Baskets of Yarn, which is our local yarn shop here in Charlotte. And yeah, it's that weekend is part of the Charlotte Yarn Crawl. And so Queen City is going to have a little pop-up shop there. We're going to have lots of fun stuff. And that's happening. And then October 20th through the 21st, there will be a Queen City Yarn Trunk Show at Knit Locally, which is located in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Janice and I will not be attending the event. We're just sending yarn for the trunk show. It's going to be a multi-dyer event put on by Knit Locally, and I believe this is their first trunk show with this style, but they are looking to make it an annual thing. And so we're really excited to be sending some Queen City up there for that. That's coming up. On November 3rd, we'll be at the Carolina Fiber Frolic, which I'm so excited to be going to again this year. And we'll be vending on that Saturday. There's a few hours in the morning where we are able to set up a table with some beautiful yarn and invite everyone at the retreat to come shop. So we'll be doing that. And then the next weekend, November 8th through 11th, we will be vending at the Magical Fiber Fantasy Retreat, which is put on by the Ross Farm and Four Pearls Yarn Shop down in Florida, and it's held at Disney. Janice will be going again this year, and so there's going to be tons of Queen City there. We have new colorways, we have Disney-inspired colorways for that event, so lots of fun stuff. And then, okay, one other thing. Queen City is participating in the Downseller Studio Pigskin Party Knit Along, which we participated in last year. Last year we created the colorway Cheap Seats. This year we created a new exclusive colorway, and I just totally love it. It's like a blue gray. I think it's showing up a little brighter than it is in real life. Just looking at the screen, maybe when I play it back it won't. But it's a beautiful like blue and gray washed out base. And then there are speckles, like all the fall color speckles. And they're just like so pretty. They're all layered on here. I have stolen this skein for myself. This is on our 75-25 blend. I really think I want a hat, don't you think? Or maybe a crown. What? Something. This is mine. I'm not selling it. I told Janice. I'm keeping a skein. I love it so much. The colorway, so it's for the Pigskin Party Knit Along, which is a football themed knit along. So the colorway is called The Huddle is Real, which is so funny. Naming the colors is so much fun. So The Huddle is real. Not the struggle. The huddle is real. But anyway, it's so fun and speckly, and I'm very, very excited about it. So we have this available to ship on our Noda base, which is the 7525. We have that in the shop ready to ship. And it will be available either ready to ship or as a pre-order through the Super Bowl. And then it will not be dyed again for 6 months. So get it while you can. It's gorgeous. It's a really pretty blue. Like, I've been like, maybe it needs to be in a shawl with this color and that color. Or, ooh, maybe it's just a hat. I'm really thinking a hat. I just love it for a hat. And, yeah. So, anyway, you should get some. And there's a coupon code for the Pigskin Party Knit Along for 10% off. It's Pigskin Party 18 will get you 10% off. And you can use it on The Huddle is Real or another color in our shop or whatever you want to in there. And I have one more new thing. So this, I guess, maybe a little bit early for showing it because we still don't have a name for it, but Janice just dyed this color. I was like, I have to take a skein of this home and show it on the podcast because it is so pretty. So it's still unnamed, and Janice just dyed this last week, and it is crazy gorgeous. I just absolutely love it. She has no idea what she wants to call it yet. We haven't discussed names for it yet, but I couldn't record and have this sitting right there on my desk and not show it because it's pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I know so many of our friends that are like, these are their colors for sure. But it's gorgeous. It's got pinks and like turquoisey blues and purples that are just like, you know, it's these beautiful colors that we have a lot of brights that are like this, but this is just fall, you know. I just love it. So I don't know what it's called yet, but this is what it is, and isn't it pretty? I had to show it off. And it, you know, it looks kind of good with The Huddle is Real. It's got a lot of the same colors in it. So anyway, I wanted to show these. And I think that's it. Wow, it's a long podcast. It's over an hour. Sorry. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully next time, because it won't be like over a month. I think it's been like 5 or 6 weeks since I podcasted. I'm hoping for every 3. I would love to do an every other week thing, but I just don't know if time will allow it. But I will podcast as much as possible. I hope that you all enjoy it, and you know, subscribe if you do. Pop me a note either on YouTube or come join the Ravelry group and chat. I think I'm going to open up one of those like introduce yourself threads. My friend Susan did that on hers. I posted in there. And I would just love to see, like, say hi and kind of know who's sitting and knitting with me. And, you know, definitely if you have a podcast, let me know because I love to watch podcasts. I have 2 little kids and it's hard to get out and make it to knitting groups all the time. And my group of knitter friends, we usually do we used to always do knitting groups here at my house, but it's just been so hard for us all to get together that it's really fallen by the wayside and I miss it. So I've been watching lots more podcasts because I'm like, I need my knitters. Keep my sanity and be inspired by everyone's work. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to try and do a little outro thing too. I don't know if that's going to work. The intro thing, that might have happened. Hopefully it did, and hopefully you liked it. Anyway, until next time, happy knitting, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!